This conference will now be recorded.
I'm butting in. I've got no sound on my end. I can hear the little beeps and this conference will now be recorded, but no voices.
Can you hear now, Carol?
Yes, but significant feedback.
I am muted.
Take your sound down.
Is everybody muted?
Better, Carol?
Oh, is that one muted?
One by the computer. Oh.
No, the echo goes on and on and on, still going on.
Okay, give us a second, Carol.
Is anybody else on it? Is anybody else on it?
I'm muted.
I'm not. Tracy, you're not muted.
Okay, I need my
I think the feedback is coming.
No sound now.
These are recorded. 6 minutes now.
Okay, hi.
Do we have sound, Carol? Robbie can hear?
Sounds like it's coming from that laptop up there on the TV itself, or the TV itself, yeah.
I have sound, but a shocking amount of feedback.
We know, Carol. We're trying to figure out where it's coming from.
Okay, awesome, thank you.
Is the TV's volume up?
All
right, no TV volume.
Have you gone to the sound button, the speaker button, and turn that down like you
On here?
Yeah, no, on the computer.
No, on the taskbar.
Because when I have hearings and it does that, that's what the problem is.
There it is.
Try that.
How about now?
Excellent.
Perfect.
Was this TV?
No.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Okay.
Okay, it's being recorded.
Okay, folks.
Perfect.
Round two.
Hold on.
Okay.
Make it, let's start over.
This conference will now be recorded.
Pick up where we were. Do we need to start over?
Let's just start fresh.
Start fresh. Okay. Good morning. I'd like to call the meeting to order. It is 9:11 a.m. Monday, November 6th, 2023. This is a hybrid format meeting of the Oregon Board of Massage Therapists. I'd like to welcome everyone joining us in person in Salem and those joining remotely. Point of housekeeping, all members of the public are asked to include your name and license number if you're joining remotely so we can record your attendance. Please keep your camera and mic off until asked to speak during public comment. Reminder for everyone in the room, the mics are very sensitive and we need to keep all sidebar conversations to breaks. I would like to call roll at this point, starting with board members, then staff, and finally members of the public. Please state your name, title or license number, and location. I'm Beckett Rowan, board chair and LMT member. My pronouns are they, them, and my practice is in Eugene.
My name is Crystal Rodriguez. Sorry, Carol. I am an LMT board member based out of Medford, Oregon, and my pronouns are she, her.
I'm John Scott English. This is my first meeting, so I don't know exactly what my title is, if someone can help me out. Public board member, and I'm from Dallas, Oregon.
I'm Shannon Gall, LMT from Walton, Oregon.
I'm Carol Gray, LMT member, Portland. I'm also vice chair.
I'm Dr. Rami Leos. I'm a public member and I'm a chiropractor in Tigers.
I'm Bob Ruark, I'm the executive director for the board.
I'm Jeff Van Lannon, I'm the compliance and licensure manager for the board.
I'm Mitch Breedlove, compliance coordinator for the board.
Kaito Dasaneka Haruna, policy analyst for the board.
Lori Lindley, the assigned assistant attorney general to the board.
I think we can go to members of the public.
Hello, my name is Ann Nutwell. I'm a licensed massage therapist, license number 22093 in Portland, Oregon.
Welcome, Ann, thank you. And at this point, you're the only public member I see here. So again, welcome to everyone. And those of you who are in your first meeting or your last, glad to have you here. Okay, first order of business we have is we need to amend our agenda. Under the FSMTB annual meeting update, we are not going to be discussing whether to attend that meeting because we've already done that. So can I get someone?
We're getting updates.
Yeah, but it says on there, the board to discuss whether or not to attend the 2023 annual meeting.
Yes, okay.
So we just need to remove that and just leave the update part. That's 5D on the agenda.
Can I get a motion to remove that discussion under 5B?
So moved.
Take a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. And then, so we're now going to approve the minutes from our September 18th, 2023 meeting. Is there any discussion about those minutes before we vote?
We have the recording of it posted.
We do have the recording.
Yes.
Yes.
That's what, are we approving or?
That's how the language is still on the agenda, so it says approve, so I'm yes. So can I get a motion to approve last meeting's minutes?
A motion to approve minutes of September 18, 2023 meeting.
Can I get a second?
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we are going to move into board business, so I'm going to turn it over to Director Brewer at this point.
Thank you. I'm going to talk first a little bit about funding our budget. So we're 4 months into the 23-25 biennium, and our funding has fallen a little bit short of the projected numbers thus far. The funding shortfall is mostly due to a reduction in the collection of civil penalties for the month of July and August. In fact, July and August, we were substantially lower collection of civil penalties. This is due to the transition in the compliance department, as well as some backlog that was noted after the transition. As the board knows, we hired a new compliance specialist, and both Mitch and Jeff, the compliance manager, have been working on a new process, which sort of didn't put us behind. We were kind of behind anyway in getting that information out, and there was some backlog from the previous compliance specialist that was in that position. I've noticed that we're starting to catch up now to where we're supposed to be in funding for our civil penalties, and that was the big one for our lack of funding. About $15,000 a month less for those 2 months. But I noticed that in September, we're starting to gain that back. In October, it looks like we're going to be on track to make that goal. So I think it was just a blip that's not going to happen, hopefully, throughout the whole biennium. So expenditures. So we have a higher than expected expenditures for the first 4 months of the biennium. The increase is due to higher than projected state assessments, particularly in computer expenses. In fact, we were required to, during COVID, to transition to Microsoft MSN 365. We sort of didn't fight with the state, but we wanted to use our own Microsoft 365 tenant. It would be cheaper for the board. We were told due to security issues, because that's the big focus right now of the state IT, that we had to use their tenant. So instead of costing us basically $100 a person, which would have been $1,000 a year, it's costing us $1,000 a month. So it's $24,000 a biennium to use the state tenant. I anticipated it being about $12,000, so it doubled. So the state assessment was $12,000 more than I anticipated in our budget. And when they gave us the projection, they didn't tell us it was going to be that much. They had no idea how much it was going to be, because basically they divided up among all the users. So we didn't know what our share was going to be, but we had to do it. So it cost us more than we anticipated. Plus, we had a several-day hearing that happened during that time frame that cost well over $10,000. We don't often have hearings that cost that amount of money, and so that was definitely something that was unanticipated. I build a couple of those every biennium into the budget, because I know it's going to happen at some point. It just, so it looks like an anomaly. You know, I build it over the course of a 24-month budget, but when it all comes out in 1 month, it kind of looks like an anomaly, but I think that'll equal out as the budget continues through the biennium. So our current bank balance as of October 31st, 2023 is $251,645. So we have well over 3 months of working capital, which is where we want to be, 3 to 6 months of working capital. So we've maintained that, even though we've had more expenditures than we anticipated. So any questions on the budget?
I understand why we have that shortfall, and that makes perfect sense, but because of the labor involved in compliance, I'm guessing it's not like we can anticipate recouping that in a year. It's just it's sort of going to be a delay lag as we go forward.
Yeah, I think so. So we're probably going to have so the kicker this year, the state kicker, is going to be larger than it's ever been. So I anticipate all of our collections are done through the Oregon Department of Revenue. So I anticipate with that large kicker that we're going to have a large increase in collections right around tax time. So we'll probably make it up there. That's my hope anyway. Okay. We have $750,000 in outstanding debts right now that people owe us or owe the board. It stays about right there. I mean, we've done a lot of things to try to increase our collections of that, and it just continues to stay right there, because every time we collect a big one, we get another case that comes in, kind of equals it out. So we've maintained about $750,000 in debts that are debits that are owed to us as long as I've been here. So. Any other questions at all?
What about the relative numbers of licensees? Is that starting to uptick a little bit, or are we plateauing still, or where's that going?
It's moving a little bit upward. The trend is very, very slow. I anticipated that it would be much larger than that because previous to COVID, our licensees were skyrocketing. We were just, our growth was huge. And so I anticipated that maybe after COVID kind of ended, we might have a nice spike. It really hasn't done that. It's been a slow, gradual increase, but the trend is upward. That's just not substantial, and I think it'll take a long time to recover to where we would have been had COVID not hit. So.
Refresh my memory. How many total licensees do we have in this state at the moment, give or take?
Yeah, roughly 8,000. Yeah, both active and inactive, about 8,000.
And Carol, I'll just add to that, at our last schools meeting, I think kind of indicated that the schools are not fully operational to their pre-COVID levels, and some of the cohorts they're only running one instead of two a year. They're basically operating at half capacity. So it's until that improves or we get more schools up and running, I don't expect a huge increase.
Is that because they're keeping class sizes smaller intentionally because of communicable disease stuff, or is it simply that enrollments are down?
Yeah, I think enrollments are down. I think staffing is an issue to get people to have staff to be able to train people has been difficult for the schools also. So I think instead of trying to fight that staffing issue, they just change their business model and say we're going to do half of what we have been doing, and we can know that we can sustain half of that. There's been a couple of schools that have told us that. So.
Yeah, that was my takeaway, that it isn't necessarily going to change because they took the opportunity to reformat their business models, which were graduating fewer or smaller cohorts. And it didn't sound like that was anticipated to change in the next 24 months.
No.
They actually seem to like the smaller.
Yeah, exactly. So I think our numbers are probably going to need to reflect that going forward.
And it's unfortunate because we continue on the compliance side and to some degree on the licensure side to hear from spa ownerships, et cetera, that there's a shortage.
Absolutely.
Do we have like the ratio of active to inactive? Are there more inactive relative to the number of active licensees than, say, pre-COVID ratios?
No, I don't think so. I think it's been pretty steady looking at the statistics. Akaite every month gets those statistics to me, so I kind of track them pretty well. During COVID, we did have a spike in inactive licensees, people going inactive. But we sort of had those people that were just holding their license in limbo came back right before when we ended before we ended the 25-hour requirement for CEs. We had a kind of everybody who said, well, I need to get my license back before I have to do the additional CEs. So we did have an uptick right there, but then it just went flat and with a little tiny bit of growth. So the ratio's been the same. It's about 7,600 active licensees and about 400, and it ranges from 400 to 600, 400 to 500 inactive licensees.
Thanks for that. I'm always impressed when people can just crank out a number on command.
Any other questions about the budget? So I'll move on to the audit update. So the board is required in the revised statute to have an audit It's called a financial review in the statute. And it's a little different than an audit. They do an audit, but they also review all of our financial processes. So they want to make sure that, that our controls that we use to make sure that one person is not in charge of all the money, that the controls are in place and correct and are up to the standards that are set by the auditing people. I don't know what they're called. But so we have to have that review conducted every 2 years. This is the year for us, for semi-independent boards. Our financial review was held on September 18th to October 18th, so a full month. It actually started a month before that. It's been going on after that. That's the audit period. That 1 month period is where they had me in the office pulling files every single day, faxing them to them and doing all that kind of stuff. We had some follow-up conversations since then. The audit is done. The accounting firm of Moss Adams completed the review, and they'll be submitting the review to me to submit to the board prior to it being sent to the Oregon Secretary of State. So when I get that review, which will probably be at the end of this month, I'll send it to the next board meeting. And if there's anything that needs fixed in the review, any suggestions that they have, what we do is we have the ability to send a letter back saying we agree that these things need to be fixed, or we disagree because this is what we've set forth. So it's a letter that we send back to the auditing firm saying we disagree or we agree, and then it gets sent to the Secretary of State. This audit also goes along with our CBER report, which is due next year, which is a substantial report that we need to submit to the legislators, the governor's office, Secretary of State, and everybody, pretty much everybody.
Can I just, for our new member, SEBA is semi-independent?
Yes, semi-independent board.
Board authority?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
So it's the format for our board, so you'll hear that thrown out a lot.
Yeah, so I can give them just a quick briefing on there. Years ago, I think it was 2011, 2012, something like that, maybe before that, the legislators decided that they wanted to try a sort of a business model. They wanted to make these semi-independent boards, and the idea was that semi-independent boards that weren't large boards could be independent and only rely on the money that's provided to them by their fees and their civil penalties and things like that. So we have no ability to get any money from the state of Oregon. We operate solely on the fees that we charge our licensees and our civil penalties that we collect. And so it's sort of the idea behind it is that it's a small business versus a government entity, and it's more efficient when it's run that way because we don't have to generally submit to a lot of the programs and things that the state of Oregon requires of other boards. So we can kind of operate our own business. I think that's the SEBA model.
Except for the computer.
Except
Yeah,
for some things.
Well, IT's been creeping in there for quite some time
Yes.
just because of all the security, cybersecurity
Yes.
stuff, so.
Thank you.
Yep. So when I get the audit, I will have it for the next board meeting, hopefully, for the board to review. It seemed like it went well. I had some good feedback from the auditors, so I don't really see any problems. Any questions about audit? I'm gonna move on to our interstate compact update. So on October 24th, as part of the technical advisory panel for the interstate compact.
Do we have an update on that?
Yeah, I'm gonna do that last. Interstate Massage Compact, I was invited at no expense to the board to attend a legislative summit in Washington, D.C. The purpose of this summit was to present the details of the Interstate Massage Compact to the legislators, massage therapists, and industry professionals. The summit was well attended by many stakeholders and was well received. So the idea behind this Interstate Compact Summit was that the groups that were involved, the national groups that were involved in getting this compact together, wanted to invite all the legislators that they could to attend this, to answer any questions that they could have, or or, you know, give information to them if they wanted to, if they wanted to introduce a bill, you know, coming up in their legislative session. So it was well attended. The information I got was that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 states introduced the massage compact last session. 1 state enacted the massage compact. The massage compact does not become effective until 7 states are involved in it. So they have a ways to go. It was Georgia, Nebraska, Nevada, Ohio, Washington State, and New York all introduced bills, and only Nevada approved it.
A lot of those that didn't approve were technical issues, not necessarily.
Correct. Yeah, it wasn't that they didn't really want it to happen. It was just political more than anything. So.
Is it council and state governments that's promoting it?
It is the council of state governments, yes. Yep.
And again, just quickly, this compact, you'll get these updates on it's a way to standardize licensing across the country for people, so their licenses become more mobile, or licensing becomes more mobile.
Correct, yeah, so the initial idea was that for active duty military spouses to be able to transition easier, that was the driving force behind it. There's currently 571,000 active duty spouses. We don't know what percentage of those are massage therapists, but so that was the idea behind it initially. And so yeah, the idea behind the compact is that whoever's in the compact, whichever states are in the compact, it allows portability. So if Oregon is in it, Washington is in it, and Nevada is in it, you can provide massage in all of those states under a compact license. And so after the compact reaches its 7 member threshold, they're going to institute their own board, Interstate Compact Board, and that board will be responsible for writing rules and things like that regarding how the compact's going to work. So there's a framework right now. That's all the legal document that's done. And then you can write rules, obviously, to govern the day-to-day processes. So,
thank you.
Okay, talking a little bit about board member recruitment. We have a new board member that's attending his first board meeting today, Mr. English. He is our new public member. I'd like everybody to welcome him.
Welcome.
Welcome. And between now and the next board meeting, we're going to be replacing 2 LMT board members. So over the next 3 months, I'll be working with the governor's office to get those 2 positions filled. Part of that process requires me to send out a letter to our stakeholders. And it's kind of vague in our bylaws about who those people are. So I try to send out letters to the most active associations we have, like AMTA and ABMT, asking for recommendations. I forward all those recommendations to the governor's office. Those individuals that are recommended, this is only for LMT members, by the way, LMT board members. Those individuals that are recommended also have to apply for the position in Workday. And then the governor's office, myself, actually the governor's office reviews them. The recommendations, reviews the applicants. They send me a list, I review the applicants, and then we all meet together and decide which applicants are going to move forward. Basically, the governor's office decides which applicants are going to move forward to get an appointment. So that process is what I'll be doing over this next 3 months to keep our board full. And we're going to have a reappointment also. Maria Odom will be reappointed as a public member. Any questions about board member recruitment? Okay, so I skipped one here, right in the middle C, the board posting of the board meeting recording. So board staff, we began posting the video recording of the board meeting minutes online after our last board meeting. This has been a Kai's project, so I'm gonna actually let her talk a little bit about it, but I think she has a question that she'd like to pose to the board regarding minutes versus are we going to post the video, so I'll let her talk a little bit about that.
So first and foremost, we did put the caption on. I just wanted to get feedback from everyone to see if it looked good on your side, if you had a chance to review the recording. So that would be very helpful, so we know, where we need to improve with regards to closed captioning and so on. And then the question that I did have is, do we, now that we're recording and, other agencies, they're either recording and posting it and not doing both. What do we want to do? Just the recording, put that up immediately, everybody have access to it, you can do what we want. And I do attach the transcript as well to it, so if you do want, you can download that as well, and sort it out. But yeah, so that was the question I did have was, what is your feedback or questions? Feedback from your review of the recording, as well as do we want to do both, or can we just do recording and call it a day?
So I think one question I would have is, would we still add some of like the public documents that are related to the meetings, sometimes that we have, like we've added to minutes?
Yeah, like the exhibit. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I believe we could.
Yeah, letters, anything that's public.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was thinking we would be able to include those as well, and that's something I can.
Yeah.
Correspondence that we get.
Yeah, things like that.
So right now, Kathy is posting the video with closed caption and a transcript of the video. I think she's posing the question, is that sufficient for the minutes, or you still want her to do an official minutes document of the board meeting also?
I feel like my first thought is that it's a redundancy, obviously, to have both. And from an efficiency standpoint, I can see where we want to just go with the recording. Has there been a time where we have needed transcript in court, where we've needed it for any proceedings? Has that ever come up?
In other boards I represent, it has come up, and we have used written minutes. But I wouldn't think if we don't create them naturally, it would prevent us from, not being able, for the purpose of the hearing, putting those minutes together and putting those as a written exhibit, rather than making the judge listen to the entire meeting.
Right,
That would seem
exactly.
kind of silly.
We could go in and have a transcript
Correct.
section that was.
At that time.
Correct. Yeah. So I don't think it's really that important for our hearing purposes.
Because we have a contemporaneous document entered as it's already posted to the public, that's
Right.
official.
Right, one thing that Krista raised kind of raises me, I think, a concern that we're capturing all the public documents, like some kind of a checklist for you kind of do something so that we don't miss things. Because, we don't want to not give something out.
Right, anytime we've had like amendments to like rules and then correspondence, we always attach those kinds of things, but I wouldn't think that would be too onerous, right, to just.
No, I already put those online anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if it would be a matter of just putting the exhibit as part of because if you go on our website under the minutes, you see the recording, you see everything else that went into that meeting would be there as well for that particular meeting. So you can go there and click that information and you'll have that at your fingertips.
Okay. So I kind of think then on top of it, having to then transcribe all the minutes and do that, I know that takes a lot of time.
It does, because I have to attend these meetings like 10, 15 more times just to, especially, as Carol can testify, sometimes you can hear something and you really need to really get it. So you're listening to one sentence like 20 times just to make sure you're getting it. So it is very time consuming, and that's time that I don't have that I'm putting into that versus where we can be really putting time to improve processes and all that stuff that I need to focus on to make what we have stronger and bigger. So it's a way, it's not a waste of time. It's time consuming. And it's taking, there's only so much time in a day that I have to do everything else, but I'm giving that time and I don't have the time to really give to the minutes anymore because with lots of stuff and not having to come after COVID, we have so much to catch up on. So, I mean, it's up to the board. If you want it, we can make it happen. If you don't want it, we can also make it happen and find ways around what we need to do, and we're resourceful, we only have so much money to work with, so we try to make the best we can with it, so.
I also want to make a case to the board that if the county has to sit through the meeting 15 times to create that transcript, we also have to review those minutes and look for any issues. So we have to then again read the whole thing, and it takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
So, where we allocate our time as board members to being able to read the cases for compliance and all the rules, or how many hours for the transcript. So I think there's certainly your labor and then the collective labor to review that as an official document.
I would
It's a lot of labor.
provide one more argument that the recording is the best possible minutes and that mistakes can be made in transcribing them. And that if we leave the recording as the official minutes and then go in and transcribe a section of minutes for a subcommittee to deal with or a request from the public or a hearing situation, I think that's better time spent than to try to transcribe them and have possible errors and stuff that don't match the recording in the long.
I agree.
I agree with Jeff. I've had situations where I've read the minutes that were produced at least in part with transcription software, and homonyms, words that sound the same but are spelled differently and have wildly different meanings. And anyway, I found a number of errors that were sort of sound alike or similar sounding words that ended up with a transcription that didn't make sense. That I think, yeah, I agree. I mean, like, should be no question about who said what if we've got a video. So I totally love that idea. I have a question about it. What's the shelf life of these videos going to be? Are they going to be like in perpetuity until further notice available? Will people 2 years from now be able to go back and view the video from this meeting?
I believe that would be based on the state's document retention program.
Yep.
And I think it's 7 to 10 years. I don't know.
I think it's more.
Okay. So we follow the same retention and destruction schedule that obviously that the state sets forth for us.
That's
Yeah, that makes sense. So that's good. I think that we need to. I know that in meeting notices that go out to licensees, there are minutes, and so we need to, in those meeting notices, remind people and provide a link, a live link in those emails that people can simply click on to go to the website and immediately find minutes of prior meetings. And I think that we need to, every single time we send out Borderline, tell people where they can go to view the videos of the meetings. And so I think that with a change like this, we need to be just super communicative, especially with our licensees, so they know where to go to find this information. And for the few who actually read the minutes in the past, are going to be making phone calls and burning staff time trying to figure out where to go for that stuff. So if we could keep feeding it to the people who need to know, it'll save us time and they'll get more information in the long run. The other thing I like about the video thing too is that they can up the speed of those things and rocket through the listening process a little faster than in real time. And so for people who maybe don't have time to attend an entire meeting and wonder about what really happened when I read these cryptic minutes, although the minutes have gotten more detailed lately, and I love that. They'll still have a slightly more efficient way to go through things if they can handle, 1.5 speed or double speed. Okay, I'm done.
Carol, I just want to say, I did just look, it took me one click to get to the minutes.
Yeah, I do
So-
include them in the notice that goes out, we've always included the link to the minutes. So I'm glad you pointed that out.
I have a question.
Thank you for having it there.
I have a question around the idea that now the board minutes are available online. Can LMTs watch these anytime and use them as CEUs now?
I would say that would still count, would it not?
I mean, this is an option for CEUs for.
Well,
No.
how would you have any way to know that? I mean, we never let reading the transcript count. It was to incentivize attending, right?
Yes, to be present.
Participation.
Yeah, the idea was interactive, kind of, being able to interact with the board and things like that.
Although many times people sit on the phone and they just listen.
That's true.
They're here, they record their LMT license and that's it. So maybe they do a little report about what they, or highlight something for the board for a CEU credit. It might encourage more engagement with the board.
Absolutely.
It might help with recruitment with the board. I'm just thinking about other ways to,
Yeah, we're going to be updating our rules, and the board is going to be reviewing, updating the rules. So ultimately, there's a process to update the rules. You're certainly going to be reviewing the rules, and that would be one day to add to the list to see if the board wants to go that way.
Yep. But as it stands now, that wouldn't be the intuitive thing.
Just the language in the way it's written.
Right there. Give it a few minutes.
Okay. Anything else before we move on?
Oh, do we need the vote?
Oh, we do need, thank you.
Somebody needs to make a motion to change the way the process.
Sorry, the saw outside, whatever's happening outside.
Yeah.
So is the motion to approve the video recording to be the new format for the minutes from now into the future?
I would say the exclusive format.
The exclusive
Yeah.
format. I motion to approve.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Okay.
Carol, take that. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Go to recording only.
Okay, taste.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
If you're online, give us just a moment. This is quite the leaf blower outside.
We're missing the ambient, so it's just happening now, so.
It will be official part of the minute.
Maybe lower sounds.
In the licensure department, Director Ruark and I attended the FSMTB annual meeting around the last week in September. This meeting was my first, and I found it very informative. This time, Director Ruark was the board's delegate, and thus was responsible for all the formal process and voting on the elections and bylaw proposals, etc. We both attended a lot of training and additional meetings. It was actually quite a busy agenda. We were blessed that it was held here on the West Coast, and so our travel time was short, and because we hit the ground and were working from pretty much the moment we got there and then well into the evening, sometimes until 7, 8 o'clock at night, and then back up at 7 in the morning to start over again. For me, it looked like a meeting of the United Nations. It was pretty cool to see all the states all represented with the flags and everything. Let's see, the networking was phenomenal because, as I mentioned, pretty much all the state members were present. So I got to meet a lot of people I've never met before, and of course, met a lot of people that I have already have great relationships with. And then as Director Ruark has already detailed in his report on October 23rd, 24th, he did a very quick trip across the nation to attend the final rollout presentation on the Interstate Compact Agreement in DC. We've had a successful recruitment for the open licensure position that was vacated by when Mitch Breedlove was promoted to fill the vacant compliance coordinator position. Our own Christian Bradley has successfully promoted to fill the licensure specialist coordinator position that handles all the initial licensing. Christian, as you are probably all aware, has been steadily working his way up through OBMT over the past years, starting as a student intern, then as a temporary employee, then he became a limited duration employee during and after COVID, and is now a full-time permanent member of our team. So I'm super excited about that. Christian is a very hard worker, due to his travels through the board's various positions and temporary assignments, et cetera. He is a unique kind of unicorn in that he has a lot of knowledge in just about everything we do. He's a jack of all trades and a master of none, and he is like my Swiss Army knife. And so I'm really happy that we had the opportunity and that he was successful and that he is now a permanent member of our team, because he's always kind of been just one budget away from not being here anymore, and that would have been a terrible loss for us. Moving forward from there, that does leave the limited duration position open. Director Ruark and myself are going to staff that in the near future to decide when and how to fill that best. And so we'll be coming back probably to the board to discuss that in more detail in the future. Moving on to compliance, as I mentioned, I couldn't remember the transition between the last board meeting. I think he was interim at the time, but now he is permanently promoted to the compliance specialist position. He's making great strides in learning the new procedures and processes. This will be his second meeting in presenting the compliance agenda. Mitch and I are still learning all the duties, processes, and procedures, and as we run into oddities and uniqueness, we're working hard to try to form new and best practices to keep us as efficient as possible. At this point, I feel that we're keeping up on all the complaints, the board actions and orders. I think we feel a little more comfortable with this meeting than we did at the last one, and I hope that'll keep moving that way in the future. There are definitely some areas that we've identified that still require some adjustment and work. Are there any questions about the compliance or licensure report? Thank you very much.
Okay, before we go into updating the rules, I just want to go ahead and welcome in the people who just called in. See a few more have joined us virtually. Could I just get you to introduce yourselves? So Sue, Ashley, and Serenity.
Hi, yes. My name is Ashley Hernandez, and I'm the Government Relations Specialist for the Federation of State Massage Therapy Boards.
Thank you. Sue or Serenity?
Hi, I'm Sue Sun, and I'm in Tigard, Oregon, license number 21407.
Thank you. Okay.
She was trying to connect. I was trying to talk, but it wasn't working.
Okay. Okay, well, we're where we need to be for the moment, so.
Yes, we are where we need to be for this moment. You're talking about me.
I am.
So we do have, so the boards have, rules evolve, right? And so there are some things that have come up since our last rule implementation, July of this year, 2023, that we need to take a look at and see if we need to change language, add stuff. And so what we have done here is bring to you language on continuing education where we find that we may have missed something from last time to provide further clarification. And so as such, I will put that up here so you can see. And then the other thing that we have to, that was brought to our attention is the use of the word endorsement versus endorsement. And you know, at the time this was written, it was used, I was used, endorsement was used, and that was many years ago. As we know, you know, words evolve. The intention at the time may have been legit, but now the word is a little bit different depending on the use of it. And so that's what we are also bringing forth to the board today to see if the board would be interested in considering changing the word endorsement to endorsement in the rules.
And for those who maybe aren't hearing as well, the difference in what you're talking about is an E versus an I in the spelling of the word.
Yes.
My understanding is that it used to be I. Are we proposing to change it to E? Is that correct?
Well, I'm bringing it forward so the board can talk about it and see which way you want to go, and then that proposal can happen. But right now, it's just a matter of discussion.
What is
What
is the changed meaning of the old spelling starting with an I? I'm unaware of the controversy about that. I'm also licensed in Oregon by endorsement because my Washington license is the one I got first. Not that that has anything to do with it.
Yeah, the difference is that, well, at least in English versus English, and it's not my first language, but what I do understand is that endorsement, the I one, it's when you are endorsing a check, for example, you're signing it, you know. And then the E one is more like a political, you know, I'm supporting your stand, your policy, you're endorsing that position. So with that, when you think about it, are we endorsing with an I somebody who has a license, or we endorsing, are we supporting the rule from wherever they're coming from, whatever they're coming from? So I think that's the way we have to look at it, to determine which way to go with regards to the word. And also, the E one is only used in America. No, the I one, yeah, the E one is only used in America. Everybody else use I.
But the I here is only used usually in
So sign and
financial
check.
situations.
So Lori, is there?
I haven't looked at that.
So it is only in American English for endorsing like checks or financial documents.
With an E?
With the
Yeah.
With the E, it's public
Support.
or approval for the E.
So I think he is more apt in this situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just looked it up. The I spelling is archaic. Let's go with E.
Well,
She's right. In a nutshell. In a nutshell.
yeah, probably from 1954.
And we're
Except with gymnastics, you know.
So on this,
Right.
do we need to to vote to have the staff work on that?
Yes, for the proposal.
Well-
And I did do something on that too. Let me share it real quick so you can see. I mean, if you had a chance to look at it, it kind of shows you what the rule would look like with the new term with the E.
There was a few that were missed, I noticed. But yes, it does give you an idea.
Mm-hmm.
So Kathy, are you asking the board to review these rules that you presented to them today and vote on them, moving them, or what exactly would you like them to?
What I would like the board to do is to say, yes, we want to have a rule present, a rule change present, like a proposed rule.
Mhm.
And then we can get the proposed rule started. This is just for discussion purposes, just to give
Right.
you a picture of what that might look like if we change it and how it reads. And so, what I want is to say, yeah, let's move this proposal along and go through the rule process maybe, and then we can go in and get other rules that needs to be looked at. For example, another rule that we need to consider discussing is the basic life support. Is it serving, is it the intended purpose? The way that, we were thinking about it at the time. Do we need to revert back to where we were? Because that was a more general coverage of what was necessary. So that's another thing too that.
So what I want to ask is, do we need a vote on each rule that we would like to direct staff?
No, I just want you to say, you know what, let's direction, yes.
Perfect.
And then that way, because other things will come up, between now and January.
Right, so we can say we want to move forward with changing to an E for endorsement.
Yes, that would be.
That seems like a simple one at this point.
Yeah.
That-
Yeah, no, but don't be too specific.
Yeah,
Just keep it open-ended. That way we can do the changes and we'll bring it back to you. At that point will be a proposed rule discussion. And then we'll bring it back then January, March.
Exactly.
And then the board can then take a look at all the rules we've, hunted down and people have brought up too. And say, here are the rules, here is what it's gonna look like. Take a look, and then you can say, yes, I like it, let's move it through the process at that point. Right now, it's just a matter of, okay, yeah, I think we like the idea of these updates that are necessary, let's move forward.
That's what I'm saying, nobody had any problem with moving forward on I to an E in that language.
Very current updates and changes.
We got the easy one.
Yes, that's the easy one.
Got that one.
Do we want to go into the, go ahead, Carol?
Making a change to the BLS requirement, though, shouldn't we make at least a general decision as a board about direction to the rules committee? I mean, we should state our intent, and they would write, we hope, coherent, succinct rules to address that intent, correct?
Absolutely. This would be a great opportunity as a direction. You say, well, you know what, let's resurrect the rules committee, and we can do that and send them all of this to do their thing, including whatever else staff come up with, or the LMTs or the public comes up with. And we send it all to the rules committee and let them sort it out. And then we bring their finding and recommendation to the board meeting, whichever one it is at that time. And go that way. And I think I do personally like involving those committees, because now when we do go through the rulemaking process, there's a question on that we have to answer, right? And this is a discussion, it's legit. But also having the public in the form of the committee have input and a say in the matter, I feel like, it gives us a little bit more leverage as well to say, yeah, we just didn't discuss it just in the board meeting, but it was also left to the public to make that decision.
I have a question. I heard an acronym of BLS. What is that?
Basic life support.
Good question.
So I actually, because you are new, I wanted to just give a little context to what we're talking about here. For years and years, massage therapists needed CPR for their licensure. And maybe 5 years ago, 5 or 6 years ago, there was a change in our rules that turned it to basic life support, which is a different certification.
It's a higher one.
It's more.
It's for healthcare.
It's theoretically higher, but there are some unintended consequences that come with it. Like there are a lot of components to it that are very hard to see how they relate to massage. Like it covers things like poisoning and like things that we would not encounter in a non-hospital setting. And it also can be attained for $14.95. You just go online and basically take unlimited attempts at getting 70% on I think a 10-point test to do it. So it actually allows us to get the certification without actually having a training like we did with CPR. So there's theoretically it was more knowledge, but the unintended consequences of actually you can do it without doing any training. So yeah, there's complicated issues with the BLS.
Yeah, and then the other thing that I meant to add with the endorsement versus endorsement is that if we do want to change it to the E, we need to also add this into our legislative concept because it is a word that is used in statute is with the I. So that would need to be considered in the legislative concept as well. So that's mainly why I brought this up too, is because we are doing these things, right? We are in the process of doing a legislative concept. So this would be that opportunity for us to add that in there. And so if we do decide to go from I to E, it will have to happen at the top as well. Mm-hmm.
What's our deadline for the 2025 legislative concept? Like, when do we have to have that ready for the 2025 session?
Yeah, it's about the middle of the year. I think I've gotten 2 dates. I got a February date and I got an April date. So I don't know which one it is yet. They're gonna firm it up later, so.
Yes.
We have a meeting, Kaite and I have a meeting. We were supposed to have it before this board meeting. With
The governor's advice.
yeah, with the governor's office regarding legislative concepts. And somebody got sick on their side and they had to reschedule till after this board meeting. So we were hoping to come here with a whole bunch of information for you, but we're not gonna have that till the next board meeting.
And I would recommend that you wait until it gets through with the statute before you make a rule change, because then you've just got more confusion.
No, that's correct,
Yeah.
but we brought it up to this meeting
Yeah.
because
No,
we
it's
wanna
good.
have that discussion to
Yeah.
see if that's something the board is even interested in before we even talk about changing any statute.
Right.
And that we are interested in.
Yes.
Okay.
Everyone is
Adding one more thing
Right.
to that. Perfect.
Do we need to have a motion and a vote to say we want to go ahead with plugging the that changing the I to the E into our legislative concept? Because it sounds like we'd be skidding into a deadline if it's February. Our next meeting is in January.
Well, I think,
I thought we just said we were gonna.
I think Lori said that perhaps we should wait until it gets changed by the legislative session before we put it in the rules so that they don't conflict with each other.
Yes.
Because as we know, supersedes the rule, so.
Yeah, but she's saying that should we vote to put that in the legislative concept as part of
As a
the
concept.
topics? Yes, yeah, because we have the mandatory reporting, we have the legislative concept, we have one other thing. So
Okay.
mandatory reporting is one of them. So now we would have changing that word.
Okay.
But you want to be added as a mandatory reporter.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the board wants to be.
Got it.
So I think there's too many things going on here with this rule.
Yes.
So, yeah, if you guys want to make a motion to add that to the legislative concept, we'll do that. And then the rest of these rules, I think, I think what the board needs to say is that they're in general agreement with looking at the rules and presenting them back to the board to go through the process. So something of that nature.
Yes.
And then we can be done with those, because we've got to be careful about any motions you make regarding the rules, because we're not in the official process now. So it's gotta be a general,
So we just
Get
want
the
to
rule
give
direction. General direction to Agate to, and to board staff to, review the rules as, you know, that we're on the right track reviewing the rules and bring them back in the official capacity, basically.
So that's like two separate motions, right? First motion is to uh, add the new spelling of endorsement to our legislative concepts so that the
Right.
legislature can look at changing the ORS.
Yep.
So I'll move that we do that.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
And so the second motion will be to direct staff to bring our concerns to the rules committee, and then we go from there. And that's like a terrible motion. Somebody give me some clarity, please.
So, you direct staff to, bring, proposed rule changes, back to the board, in the, official process
Okay.
versus just, yeah.
Okay, I move to direct staff to bring rule changes or proposed rule changes from the rules committee back to the board.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. That should carry us through till we have that work. Okay, do we have anything else on rules?
That will be it.
Thank you,
See you
Kaitse.
in January.
Yes, thank you. Okay, Bob, we are back to you.
Yes. So Jeff sort of talked about a little bit. In late September, Jeff and I attended the FSMTV annual meeting in San Diego. The board had elected to have me be the delegate for that particular meeting. And the board directed me, we went through all the proposed amendments and voting information. And the board directed me how to vote. I voted as directed. And I'm happy to say that everything that the board directed me to vote on, yay or nay against, went the board's way. So you were in the majority, every way that it went. They elected their new election or committee, their committee to move forward applicants for board members. Their application committee, I think they call it, or something like that.
Selection.
Yeah, selection committee. They elected their selection committee, their new board of directors, and you know, the information was great. I presented at that board meeting at their request, presented some information regarding the executive summit that we attended in Denver. I thought that went well. A lot of great training, a lot of focused training on trends and in the massage industry. Good trends and bad trends both. So it was well attended. There was a little bit of what was the word for it? Not tumultuous, but it was
Contention?
There was a little bit of contention regarding one member state wanted to make some bylaw changes, and the board or the delegates weren't in favor of that. So that was not voted on. It didn't go that individual's way. And that was really the only time that there was any kind of drama at the meeting. Other than that, it went really well. And a great networking opportunity, and I appreciate the board allowing me to go there and be your delegate and Oregon's delegate. And it was very informative and eye-opening for me. So
How many other executive directors did you get to meet?
almost all of them. I mean, it was 44.
That's amazing, wow.
boards there, and including Puerto Rico.
Yep.
And so not all of them were executive directors, but there were a lot of executive directors there. A lot of delegates were executive directors. Most of them were board members. Probably half, I would say, probably 50% were executive directors that were the delegates, and 50% were probably board members. There was a huge audience. Attorneys. Yes, attorneys. Some states brought a lot of their staff, and some states didn't bring any of their staff. So it was well attended, and yeah, I got to meet a lot of people all over the United States. So.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. It really was.
Yeah, thank you very much for doing that.
Yeah.
Were there a lot of breakout sessions and things like that too?
In-house training
Yeah.
during the meetings with the entire group, and then also breakout sessions. They were even FSMTV's entering the modern era, and they did podcasts.
Oh,
And,
That's right.
I got invited to be a participant in one of the podcasts.
That's cool.
It was a really well-organized, informative, and business meeting. I was worried myself being a bit of a wingman in the situation of not knowing what my role and responsibility was, but I was busy the entire time.
Oh, yeah.
So I had no problem filling my day with things to do and observe and participate in.
A lot of stakeholders, AMT National, and all those national representatives, and even some local ones from different states. So it was pretty well attended, and nice to be able to network with everybody.
And there was a lot more representation there than I have experienced at the summits and some of the other FSMTV events, where you see the core 14 states or so that are really,
Right.
like Oregon is, we're very respected. That's another thing that I learned there. I felt that way before, but I really felt that way there.
Absolutely.
And that's kudos to our entire agency, to our board, to our licensees, everyone, that we had a great deal of respect. And to be Little Oregon and to feel that way was pretty cool.
And just for, again, new member flushing out, this is a national federation we interact with, and send delegates and representatives to the annual convention. We haven't gone in, I think, 3 years now because of COVID, issues like that. So this is their first time going. The only person on our board, I believe, who's ever been is Krista, who's leaving. So, yeah, so this is something too that if you're interested, you may have an opportunity to attend in the future.
I can now highly recommend it.
Yeah. So, yeah, this is an annual thing that we schedule and send delegates to. Okay, thank you for both. Can I get a motion for a 15-minute break?
So moved.
A second? All in favor of 15-minute break?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion carries. 15 minutes.
So I show time of 10:20 on the dot.
Be back at 10:35.
Yep.
All right,
Gotta wait for the guys to turn on.
yes. Do you see eyes?
I don't see the eyes yet.
Not yet. Carol, can you hear us? Yes, perfect.
Yeah.
We're in business.
But do we, it's not gonna come back through with a thing that says we're now recording?
No.
Okay. Okay, thank you, everyone. We are gonna go ahead and move on to our board member new business. So does anyone have anything they would like to bring to the group?
I do. I know I'm the rookie, but I do have a question, when it gets into, I'm not sure what these are called, the cases, reading into the cases. At the top, there's a summary, and then it says mitigating circumstances. But I noticed in most of these, it not only has mitigating circumstances, but it has aggravating circumstances. So is there a section, like, is it normal to have aggravating circumstances mixed in with mitigating circumstances?
I think that might be something better we can clarify in executive session.
Sure.
We can go ahead and like walk through that a little bit in more detail than in our actual new business. I think we can answer any, like we just do Q&A on any of that you have as we go into exec session.
Okay.
Once we're in there.
So they don't normally have separate sections for aggravating and mitigating?
How you see it written is how you're gonna see it, but we can definitely clarify all that once we're in executive session.
Got
it. It'll make so much sense once you do your first one.
Yeah, it will.
It really will.
Hang in there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else with a new business item?
I don't think so.
Okay, hearing nothing, we're going to go ahead and move forward. 2024 board meeting dates. Okay, I'm gonna start off with asking who's going to be here in 2024? Scott, myself, Carol, Rami. You all have to be here.
Oh, yeah. I'll be here in January.
Okay.
Can I make a suggestion just for January?
Yes.
And then y'all can have,
Watch, okay.
you can, yeah, because the 22nd would be the best day, and I think that's typically, when we do it. Kind of towards mid to latter part of the month.
Is it normally a certain, like, fourth Monday of every other month, or
Depends.
this is different?
It's usually mid or late month on a Monday.
It depends on
holidays.
everybody's
And the 15th is a holiday, so.
Well, I just want to say, like, let's get one person speaking at a time, because it is complicated in the recording. So, we picked the dates, the last meeting of the year for the next year going forward, and yeah, we will work around state holidays, federal holidays, and other big issues.
Yeah, now, as you notice, this calendar that I presented to you does have the state holidays highlighted in gray. And then the state holidays and when the courts are open for compliance purposes, highlighted in light gray. Reverse.
Yes.
Okay. So if we start with a meeting in January, then we go typically bi-monthly. So we'll go from there. And I also, before we even get into picking those dates, I do want to ask our 2-day business meeting is normally in July.
Correct. Yeah, it could be whenever.
I was wondering, is there a reason it's then specifically, or are we flexible on that date?
It's flexible. Actually, historically, it's been May.
Okay.
But I think part of it was due to availability and other schedules and things of that nature.
Perfect.
It's July.
But it doesn't have to be. We've had it in July, we've had it in September when we did an effort, so it could be any time.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, we start in January. Do we have any issues with making it January 22nd? Anybody have
You
anything
know,
to come for?
That's the one Monday that I'm not available in January. I'm sorry. And I also need to be available the Friday prior. Is that correct? Because we have those meetings that I didn't know about until they were in my face and I couldn't get to any of them. So I need to look at that too. But you know, I can rearrange the world if the 22nd is the only day that works for other people.
Your day?
22nd or the 29th, so I just can't do first couple because I have student exams.
Do we have any issues with the 29th?
I won't be available for the 29. I have a conference at that date.
Then I think we go with the 22nd then. So this is your last meeting, make it easier on you?
22nd would be, sorry,
Right.
Carol, but would be a little easier on me.
Yeah, I can do that. I'll just, you know, I've got some time to rearrange things, obviously.
It's one hell of a drag for me too.
Exactly.
So that'd be a little easier.
Okay, January 22nd.
And are they at the same location?
Yeah, if you're, great.
March dates, any big conflict or big suggestion? Okay, then I suggest we go with the, oh. Did somebody have something online?
I didn't hear the date you chose. March 4th is out for me, and March 11th is out for me. And in fact, the 18th, I would not be able to make the pre-meeting on the 16th. So for me, March 4th is good. And let me see, at the very end of the month, March 25th is good.
Then I put forward, we go March 25th.
Okay.
Okay. May, I want to say maybe we suggest moving the business meeting to May or September because we didn't have people show up. And I think the middle of the summer, we're just not going to get public to come. It's too much of a vacation time. So, any thoughts about that? Would we rather do it in May or September? Any thoughts from staff?
Probably September, that gives us a little bit more time to plan it.
You also have to start thinking about where.
Correct.
Because that's also another possible challenge, but preferably not.
Okay, then let's do our one-off meeting in May. Since we're at the end of the month, we want to go with May 20th.
I have a conflict that day.
Okay, not May 20th.
Me too. I cannot do the 20th.
The 13th. Okay, May 13th.
Yes, 13th
Okay.
works.
Then July. I say either the 15th or the 22nd. Anybody have any preference?
No to the 15th. I can do the 22nd, but I won't be able to do the pre-meeting on the 19th because I'm teaching then.
That's fine. Let's go ahead with the 22nd.
Okay.
Okay, September. So we're talking about September for our 2-day meeting. Scott, just so you know, our annual business meeting is 2 days and we do it over Friday, Saturday. Correct?
Correct, that's right.
So one thing to consider with September possibly is, do we know when the next annual meeting is for FSMTD? Because that could conflict.
Thank you. Good call. This is my first year as chair, so I'm learning too.
I'm just gonna check, I don't know that they have a date yet. When I was in Washington DC, they were talking about it at that point, so.
Kind of hard to find.
Oh, is Ashley still on now? She might have, I'm sorry?
Oh yeah, Ashley's on.
September 30th is the only Monday I can do.
We're doing a Friday.
It's gonna be Friday,
Oh, I'm
Saturday,
sorry.
Carol.
I'm sorry. That might be even worse. Let me see here. I can do the 27th and 28th. That's it for September.
It will be 26 and 27. We need to
Oh,
work.
sorry, 26, 27. Forgive me for.
I'm just kidding.
No, 27, 28.
27. No, it's the 27th.
September?
That works for me.
Oh, Sunday, Saturday. Yeah, I was just making sure you were on board, Carol.
We're just,
And-
Make sure
and-
everyone's paying attention.
hold on a second.
We don't have it listed yet.
It's not listed.
It depends on where you go, because I did the report for 25th and 26th.
Hold on, let's go back to trying to minimize our conversation. Ashley, are you still with us? No?
You can always set the dates for now until we get more information, then you can just vote to move them. Because then also knowing where we're gonna have the meeting.
Yeah, you can put some tentative dates in and then we'll.
Exactly.
Okay, why don't we say then September, our tentative business meeting, make it September 27th, 28th.
Oh. And then when
And
was the pre-meeting be for that one?
There isn't one.
Thursday, usually.
Okay.
I mean, she means when we get together to discuss the agenda.
Oh, well, that can be flexible, Carol.
Okay.
For that.
And for the 2 days, is it 9 to 4 or 5 on each day?
Well, depending on the location, we'll house you and set you up, you'll be in a hotel. Most likely do a dinner that. So it's a traveling meeting on an overnight stay.
So it's a full day usually on Friday. And then Saturday, it ranges anywhere from a half day to 3/4 of a day, gives you travel time to get back home and copy.
And I would say that's one that while we can do virtually, there's a premium of value to show up in person, because the conversations and the structure of it are really hard to do hybrid. So that, if there's one you can make, that would be the one.
Yeah, I will not be able to meet in person for that. I can only do virtually. So I'll put that out up front.
Yeah, thank you, Carol. Okay, so we'll put a pin in 27th and 28th for that meeting.
We don't have a location.
Not yet.
No, and that'll depend on the FSMTV schedule.
And with the traveling board meeting, I think that maybe we can look into collaborating with a school, and maybe try to work it. I don't know when school starts anymore. I'm not in school. But is that right about there? Because I think even if it's possible for the first week of school to kind of get students engaged. So I think that's something I would be interested in looking into, just trying to work with the schools.
Yeah, so what we'll do is, we'll do a couple proposals for locations and things like that, bring that back to the board at the next meeting. We'll have some dates of FSMTV. And we'll bring a couple proposals back about locations and costs and things like that. That way the board can make an informed decision.
Perfect. Okay, and then that puts us a year from now into our November meeting. So we're looking at either the, probably the 4th or 18th.
I can tell you the 18th is the week of Thanksgiving.
No, it's the following week.
Really?
I'm looking at the calendar.
Alright. Dang, that's late for Thanksgiving. Does it feel late?
Right, so, 4th or 18th. Does anybody have any big?
I'm sorry, we're looking, at November. Let me look at my calendar here, sorry. I can do the 4th. Is that true? Yes, I can do the 4th, and I can do the 4th or the 18th, but if it's the 18th, I won't be able to make the pre-meeting on the 15th.
Okay, that's fine, Carol. Is there any staff input on that one, being a holiday month?
You know, I like I like earlier.
Okay.
I like earlier in the month, because it gets kind of, with Veterans Day and holidays, you have people on vacation and things like that later on.
Okay, then let's go with November 4th.
Okay.
Short turnaround.
It's a quick one.
I know, but
Yeah, and make it a short meeting.
Maybe, but
If those dates stay.
Yes.
I kind of get a sense FSMT is usually the last weekend of September or the first weekend of October typically.
You say that.
FSMT.
Federation of State Massage Therapy Boards.
So do we need to go ahead and take a vote on that calendar?
Yep.
Can I get a motion? I get a motion to approve the meeting calendar
2024.
for 2024.
And move to report the 2024 dates we just selected.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
I second.
Thank you, Carol. All in favor of approving the 2024 meeting dates?
I
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. And I do just want to ask, if you're remote, please audibly say your vote, just because there's a lag sometimes. So if you could say it, that's super helpful. Okay, then we are going to go ahead and move on to the borderline review and approval. Does anyone right off the top have anything, any questions or anything to share?
Should we put something in there about the minutes being recorded and not and having a link and like a little informative wibbly wobbly?
You're writing that article next, is that what you said?
He likes that.
Like who be the ones?
Okay, so you're writing that article next?
I am.
Oh, I thought you done volunteered to do.
No.
No, but I guess I can.
Okay, let's bring it back here, so I can hear everybody. Let's just go ahead and run down the borderline. We start off with rule changes. Akaite, I just saw the formatting issue, but I put it on the page, the amend, it's just missing the high, or bold on the D.
Oh, yeah, that's fixed now.
Scott, thank you for your blurb.
Yeah, great, wow.
Yes.
Akate,
I mean, I know you're
the
well traveled.
legislative update and the Oregon law changes, you have a period and a colon both on the, next to the past.
Yes, so, yeah, we'll fix that. So I'm still waiting for some articles. Once we put those in there, we can publish that. But yes, I see it. We'll move that period.
Is this also an opportunity where we can talk about our new staff positions with Mitch and with Christian, now that they're both official?
Yeah, maybe a little bio as well.
Yeah, I did see the, who did I contact?
Exactly, that's what made me think of it.
Was updated. And the board minute, the dates will get plugged in too. Okay. Oh, there, the recruiting, I'm sorry, I was wrong. It said public healthcare member. That's not who we're recruiting for, correct? We're recruiting 2 LMT members.
Correct.
So I just want to change that.
Yep. Correct.
There's just a formatting issue on the bottom, towards the bottom above, how to apply the governor. It starts with the sentence, the governor, and then after represent, it didn't keep the sentence in alignment with the rest of the formatting. Just above how to apply, it says the governor is also committed to ensuring that sentence got broken up in formatting.
Same with contact offer.
And underneath the applicants, the last kind of bolded area, I'm not sure if if there's a missing word there, but it says current board members with and board member. I'm not sure what that.
Anything else you're seeing, folks?
And is the newsletter date actually right, October 12th, 2023?
No, that's when I did this.
Okay.
So, okay.
Okay, so we have those formatting issues, the only content issues that came up. We're putting in something about Christian and Mitch and their new roles, putting in something about the recorded minutes, and then meeting dates. Anything we're missing? Okay, then can I get a motion to approve the board line for the fall?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Before we go any further, I just want to take a second. It looks like we have someone who just came on to the virtual. Mark, could you please introduce yourself and put your LMT number after your name?
My name's Mark Greif, and I'm one of the investigators.
Oh.
Yes.
So I don't have an LMT number.
Say, I recognize that name.
But I never know which of our investigators may also
That's true.
be an LMT or have any license. So.
Fair.
Thanks for joining us, Mark. We're just about to the end of the public session, and are we planning on taking a lunch break before executive session?
We'll go to executive session first and then take it in there. Kayate said lunch is coming at 11:15.
That we just got notified that it's on its way here right now. So we'll be working as we eat. Yeah. Okay, I'm just trying to give Mark some, he wants to be in on the executive session to hear how we process.
I think we took a lunch break and then did our executive session last time because of the sound. So I think we want to have at least the crunching and the noise. I think we want to have at least, it's loud, maybe a 15 or 20 minute lunch. Yes, it's louder than you think.
Mark, if you'd like, I'll be happy to text you when we're about to enter executive session.
Okay, that'd be great. Thanks, Jeff.
Perfect. Okay, then let's go ahead into public correspondence and comment. I did not see any correspondence. Okay, do we have any public comment? If you would like to speak, we just ask that you state your name and license number and keep your comments to 2 minutes. Okay, looks like we have no public comment. There will also be another opportunity for public comment before the end of the meeting. Okay, I found my script. Okay, then we are going to go ahead and get ready to move into an executive session. The Oregon Board of Massage Therapists will now meet in executive session pursuant to ORS 192.660 to discuss certain matters on the agenda pursuant to ORS 192.660-2F, consider information or records that are exempt from law or by law from public inspection, ORS 192.501, Section 4. To review, discuss, and consider written legal advice provided by the Department of Justice pursuant to ORS 192.660, Section 2, Section F, or to consult with counsel concerning legal rights and duties regarding current litigation or litigation likely to be filed pursuant to ORS 192.660-2H. To consider and discuss in executive session information obtained as part of an investigation of a licensee, applicant, or other person alleged to be practicing in violation of law pursuant to ORS 192.660-2KL and ORS 676.175. No decision may be made in executive session. At the end of executive session, the board will return to open session and welcome the audience back into the room. ORS 687.081, Section 5, prior to imposing sanction under ORS 687.081 or any rule of the board shall consider, but is not limited to considering the following factors: the person's past history in observing the provisions of ORS 687.011, 687.250, 687.895, and 687.991, and the rules of the board. The effect of the violation on public safety and welfare. The degree to which the action subject to sanction violates professional ethics and standards of practice, the economic and financial condition of the person subject to sanction, and any mitigating factors the board may choose to consider. Representatives of the news media and designated staff shall be allowed to attend the executive sessions. All other members of the audience are asked to leave the room. See no members of the media present. Okay, at this point, we'll stop our recording and move into executive session.